How you doing, everybody? Hi, Javi and Azam and Canadian Monkey and Dominic and Alexander. Hey, Big Sal. How you guys doing? Oh boy, we went from a fairly cool spring to summer, and now it's hot. So, hey, Rancher, how you doing, Clyde? Clyde, I got to get that. I got to get my texting fixed. Oh, good. Okay, everything's going okay. Um, I've a lot of people have asked, they say, well, they think the market is cooling, or they had, pronounced it to be going down, the price is going down and so forth. And I boy, I haven't gotten anything for a while, and one of the reasons is that the market is, I mean, the watches, everything was just, sky high. But now they're saying, well, the market is going down again. I don't know whether it is or not. Some people who are, I guess, experts in this kind of thing seem to think so. And but what else is new? So anyway, so I thought, I don't know. First of all, what do you guys think? Do you think the market is starting to cool off now? Hi, Hater, Jean Claude Beaver. Good to see you guys. Hopefully, I'll get a sub. No date soon. You want to get a sub, huh? Okay. Those things. The reason, Ozum, that I sort of wonder about those. I think that they s- they're pretty. There's a difference between being expensive and being high horology. Okay, and subs are one of those very popular watches that keep prices fairly high. And so if you're planning on them going down anytime soon, I'd be glad to see it. I always like to see all watches go down. And then maybe I'll be able to get an Air King if no one's looking, especially me. Uh, so anyway, Floodland, good morning. Hi, Geezer. I wonder if watch dealers are saying that to justify passing less money to acquire an inventory. That could be it. Hey, Thomas, how you doing? Um, Hi, John Chan. How are you? Definitely has cooled for the key brands. Okay. Uh, One of the things that I saw go up um, right after I got them were, and they went up, especially some of the rare ones, I'll say, were the Daniel Roth. I really like Daniel Roth watches that were from the early 2000s when Roth was still working on them. The ones that, well, Daniel Ross is still working on watches, except they start around $100,000. He makes these really amazing tourbillons, and I don't like tourbillons, but the ones he makes, I wouldn't mind having. Same thing with uh oh, what's his name? Uh Roger Dubuis. Is it Roger Dubuis? Yeah. His stuff has went from, really some good buys to extremely expensive, and I'm hoping they'll come down again. Some of these may not. They were sort of like nobody was paying attention to them, and we could get some pretty good deals on them. Some excellent watches. Um, but then they became unavailable, and there aren't that many to begin with. I'm sort of curious as to what's going to happen with those. There's another um, kind of watch, and this is sort of the earlier generation Parmigianis. Parmigianis were always far better watches than people understood or gave them credit for, except people who were focusing primarily on horology. And so as a result, you could get some really good buys. Um, the way they have restructured Parmigiani with the new guys in there, I think what's happened is sort of interesting. Prices for their entry level have gone down somewhat. Another company, the same thing happened. Used to get wonderful deals on H. Mosers, but not anymore. They had, in fact, you get as a waiting list on H. Mosers. So a lot of these things happen, and I'm always wondering, well, what what might be something worth looking at? What do you guys think? Hey, geezer, Roth era Breguet are real gems. I agree. Yeah, these are when the Chaumet brothers owned Breguet before they had to, they lost everything. They hired Daniel Roth, and yeah, Thomas, I agree. Now, this is from, gee whiz, this sort of goes back, I guess, back into the 80s. Is that right, Thomas? I'm not sure. Something like that. Uh, the Bethune BD28 and FPJ Octaloon are chrono retropont for me, or chrono retropont. Yeah, I've always wanted one of their what they call a chronomet, FPJ chronomet optimum, and they I don't know what happened to them. Some of them are still around, and I guess another one along that same lines would be Gronfeld. And some of these may, I think, moderate in prices. Now, some of the more mainstream ones, like Rolex, the funny thing about Rolex is that if nothing else you can say about Rolex, they they seem to really keep their price. Okay. Um, I don't think in my own beliefs, I don't think watches increase or decrease in value because they have a horological value that doesn't really change. On the other hand, they have price tags that do, and I think that that's one thing that a lot of people who buy Rolexes like to talk about how much how much that. Lee, hi, a bear whisperer. That's me. Yeah, I tell you, I've seen already this year. I've seen three bears. Just saw one the other day. We were coming home, and there was a bicycle path right next to us, and there was a bicycle, and my wife was driving, and so she slowed down for the bicycle, and then there was a guardrail, and then this bear pops up over the guardrail and checks us out, and I'm thinking, there's the old joke is that uh, you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the slowest guy next to him. And bears are fast. And so here's this poor guy on a bicycle and the bear checking him out. um, no, we've been having a lot of bear things. I don't know what the thing is. Also, too, we have bears without tags. Usually the bears around for a while. They'll give them a tag. They give them a yellow tag, and so you can look at them and there's old 25 or something like that. But the ones they haven't tagged yet we're getting a whole bunch of those. So I guess I don't know where they moved here from. Um, Hi, Mark. I don't think the independents are going to drop much. The supply is very small. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. I think there are two things, Mark. I see with that. You take an AHCI, there are a lot of AHCI watchmakers who are simply undiscovered, period. So they're the ones that if you can get them before everybody else recognizes them, that's when to look. But you're right about supply. A lot of these guys have waiting lists that I wouldn't want to even be near. Hi, Neff. Hi, Jonathan. How you guys doing? Dean Ludwig, how are you? Is Are the H Moser at C venture big deal watches for the money? Dean, I think any H Mosers you get great quality for the money, and there's some good buys around. I have two H Mosers, and both of them are just fabulous watches. So um, one doesn't have to be named a venture, but those are awfully nice ones. Big date one's a nice one too. Hello, Mr. Robinson. Let's see what's going on. Um, Mark, I mentioned about the reverso. Usually, the funny thing about uh, Jaeger-LeCoultre, their prices don't seem to be too bad ever. They, but I guess they may have gone up. I haven't really been paying attention now. Hi, Oliver. I just bought a Moser, and you get understated high horology for the money. I think they could be another FP Journe. Um, well, I'll tell you something. There's about H. Moser. Some of you may already know this. There are probably a lot of watches that none of us can afford that are, and the only one I know the name of is MB&F. They have H. Moser hairsprings from their, what is the name of theirs called? Oh, Precision Engineering. Precision Engineering is H. Moser's movement making company, or movement making arm, I should say. And I was talking to the guy who's the head of H. Moser, had an interview with him. Must have been 2 days before they shut down New York for the because of COVID. And he was telling me, he said, I asked him about how many uh, they're called Strawman hairsprings they made. And I said, what, around 20,000? And he said, no, more like 50 or 60,000, which will give you an idea of the value that top watchmakers have for those hairsprings. There's another company that's owned by the Sandoz Foundation that's called uh, Alto Calpa. Um, Ata Kalpa, they have, and they insist on having all of their letters in lowercase. But they make also really excellent hairsprings. But they make, this is the thing that a lot of us don't see. There's an agreement, a gentleman's agreement among Swiss watchmakers and movement makers, apparently, and hairspring makers. You don't tell anybody who you sell them to. The only company that H. Moser will uh, indicate that they've sold Strawman hairsprings to is MB&F, because MB&F tells everybody. That's the thing I like about MB&F. When you get an MB&F, you know everybody who's been involved in it, and they're all really strong companies. Oh, hi, Roar the Tiger. How you doing? I think the pool of collectors in the indie space is very uh, different to these aficionados in the mainstream space. Probably right, Geezer. Yeah, undiscovered. I tell everybody. uh, what's mentioned? Lee Todd, sorry you missed the get together night before last. You would have got to see a large part of my collection that others don't know about. Ah, yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see collectors get together in person. Okay, what else is going on? Oh, Mark, I know. Mark, listen, I think I get blamed. People's wives are mad at me. It's your fault. It's not. Hi, Al. I hope I can per a Grand Seiko for a decent discount. If that's what you want, a Grand Seiko SLGA009. I don't know what that is, but Al, could you, what is that exactly? Very rare watches. The hairsprings, not so much. That could be true. Um, John, it didn't do too well. Um, to tell you the truth, I never liked it, but that's me. A lot of watches I love, no one else could likes at all. But that Apple watch, what they call it, the Alpine watch or something, I don't know. The one I thought I was sad to see go was the Henry with the double hairspring, but there was a good reason for that. Uh, it was too expensive to produce. Double hairspring, I was told, was just as complicated, if not more so, than a tourbillon. So, but there's still some of those available. Okay. Hey, Watch Fan, how you doing, man? Hi, Dean. Um, the H. Moser Venture Big Date. You know that watch. If you're gonna have a date, you should have a big date. And I don't think Moser keeps coming out with these wonderful surprises. One that I really like is their Heritage uh, Dual Time. That's one I think that I like a lot. They had I There was one they had a dual time zone and they got rid of it, but then I saw again in the Heritage line they came out with another a dual time. Um, Certain Rolexes, Audemars Piguet and Vestron and Miele pieces will be hit. They could be. The people. I think one thing that's going to really they're going to try to keep the prices high on some of these watches that just went crazy prices. Um, I think in looking at H. Moser, um, the Resonance watches, FP Journe Resonance, like mine were over a half a million, and I thought this is insane. And so if somebody bought one for that much, you poor guy. I don't think they're gonna, if you buy it for investment, if you bought it because you like it, or that you're interested in that horology, it's not going to go up or down in value. Um, yeah, Neff, there was a certain amount of the Swiss Alp watch that Moser did put in the double hairspring. They didn't put There wasn't very many though. And so you had two kinds. You had the kind with the double hairspring, the kind without. Um, and I don't know why. The whole idea if you're gonna why would you want to look like a smartwatch? That was sort of my feeling about it. The watch that I would really go into debt to get was the H. Moser Icon watch. Uh, I The thing about H. Moser, they have a history. Well, probably for the last 10 years or so, of they like pulling the lion's tail, so to speak. They had their Swiss cheese model. They had all kinds of funny things that they introduced. And when they introduced the Icon model, the people at the what was it, the SSSA or one of those organizations got so upset they made Moser they wanted them to destroy it. I think it's hidden in some drawer somewhere. Love to have that watch. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Icon watch, but it was every stereotypical aspect on every watch. I think they put together this wonderful watch that was, it was awful in one respect, but another it was really a lot of fun. Hey, Lewis, do you think Vestron overseas third generation is good value in this market? Now, Lewis, that happens to be one of my very, very favorite watches. When they came out in 2016 with the 5100 movement and the I guess OS3, the third generation, to me, they really hit one out of the park. It's a great watch. I don't know what they're selling them for now. The Vacheron Constantin I keep looking at is triple calendar, and I know that if I got a triple calendar, keeping the thing keeping the calendar right would probably drive me nuts, but to me, that's just a fabulously good watch. The overseas, I don't know, for a luxury sports watch, I think that one is hard to beat. I love that watch. I had the first generation overseas and I wore it for years and loved it, but the new ones are just, I mean, that third generation are fantastic. Fox hunting. Big Sal, who's going fox hunting? I'm a simple man. Oh, good. Okay. With simple taste. Oyster Rolex Perpetual for around 5,000. Okay, that's what I'm searching for. Yeah, Oyster Perpetual, I don't know. I don't like it quite as much as I do the Air King, but that's not a bad one either. Go Daytona. Okay. A two-tone black dial. You like Daytonas, huh? Go. Thanks, man. Hey, Oliver, I would want the Starbucks, but certainly at list price. Starbucks, I'm not sure what that is. Looking at the ridiculous price of such watches and the big amount of offering, it tells me that those watches do not sell big time on the gray market. Yeah, they're probably not. It's not the gray market, it's a secondary market. People keep referring to it as the gray market as though it's somehow, it will soon slip into the black market. It's not. It's just a secondary market. And if it weren't for the secondary markets, I can tell you that a lot of these major watch companies would be in big trouble with any kind of excess inventory that they have, because that's what the secondary market does. This whole thing about a gray market, I think, is was something that was started some time ago so that you'd pay more for the whatever other the gold market or something like that. Um, Starbucks is the new Submariner. Okay. Someone was asking me, let me ask you guys this question. Somebody asked me this. They said, if I was going to recommend a thin sports watch or a thin diver, I think is what he said. He wanted a nice, thin, good-looking diver. I I couldn't think of one. I My favorite diver is the Easy Diver by Roger Dubuis, but that thing is anything but thin. That's a big hunk of of horology there. Hi, Tuna. How you doing? If I won the lottery and prices dropped, to go for the Vastron astronomical. Yeah, they've got, not only the astronomical and Vastron content, and I really like, have you seen the one that's got those two hands like that? And there's some sort of explorer watches named after famous explorers. Really some very neat stuff. 2000 V best sports watch diver. I don't know what the 2000 V is, Lewis. A compressor? Oh, yeah, you're talking about a, Aurora the Tiger, you're talking about a, Jaeger-LeCoultre? A good diver, not too big, is the old Sea Dweller. The Sea Dweller. Okay, this is by, Omega. Hamilton and Glyclean have thin divers that are around 500 bucks USD. This is really funny. The guy who asked me this, just paid almost $40,000 for a new get it, FP Journe Chronometsu vein in the Havana. But he said, "What's like, what would you need a sports watch for?" Um, no Rolex, huh? Any thoughts on Cartier Pasha? Trying to think. There's some Cartiers that I had dismissed at one time I've come to like. Pasha may be one of them. Cartier is sort of a funny brand. There's some in there that are pretty nice, and other ones that are, yeah, that's it, Lewis. That FP Journe Havana. Mm, I like that. I've come to really like one of my favorite watches still is Chronomat Cervane. My little and then I put a blue strap on it, and it's even better. Cartier Blue Balloon. Air King had cost me too much in speeding tickets. No, I tell you, this is a watch. This is the old or the original, I like to say. Um, Parmigiani, Flourier, Tonda Hemispheres. And the reason I like it so much is, believe it or not, it's a very practical watch, and that it's got dual time zones. You can do all kinds of things. It's got two crowns on it that you can set this. This is the second time zone, and it can be set independently. And then when you move the other one, both of them move together. And what you can do with that, there are a lot of places like yeah, Central Australia is one, India, and some other countries that have a half hour offset. I don't know why they did that, but they a lot of dual time watches just don't work with them. And so I think it's important that if you have a dual time zone watch, um, that you're able to to have it. What is India is the most second most populous country in the world. Yeah, that's a lot of people you want to be on time for. Um, the invading army is at the gates. Which invading army is this? The Parmigiani looks cool. You almost convinced me to buy a Kalpa in your videos. They are priced so low compared to retail price. I know. They're great buys. I have my Kalpa, I have my blue, my what's it like a what do they call it? Robin's egg blue Kalpa. Uh, those are they're really good watches, and people don't like the design. I love the design. One thing they don't like, these things are called horn lugs, and people say, "Oh, those big horn lugs, who likes those?" Well, the thing about a horn lug is that they wrap around your wrist, and that's what I like about them. But I still think you can find some of these. The new one is exactly like this, except it uses a retrograde date. And the retrograde date and that model won a Grand Prix award. you know. But basically the only thing they changed was this: instead of having a date window, they changed it another thing. To me, you can still find some good deals on Parmigianis. I mean, what they're doing is that they're getting rid of all of the ones that weren't doing so hot, like the Culpa, like this version of the Tonda, and they're going with the retrograde one. I don't blame them. I like the retrograde one, and I'd get one, but I can't justify it. H. Moser Streamliner. Yeah, I like that one. Now I like the one. I'm not a if I were a chronograph fan, which I'm not, um, I would like that Agengraph. That's the only one I think that's a wonderful one, but I wouldn't use the thing. So as a result, I like that. I think it's green, the green streamliner that from H Moser. That's a really nice one. Even better though, I like their GMT. It's got like a reddish dial on it, great looking watch, and it has that the heritage dial as well. Beautiful watch. Hater, could you take a look at one of the brands that Benjamin Chi set up? He has BHHC. Hater, I have been. In fact, I'm going to when I go to New York when it's open again. Benjamin told me to go pick up. He asked me to review one of his watches, and so I'm going to go to what's it called, Hodinky, and pick one. I guess they're reviewing it, and he's going to ask them to give it to me, and I'm sure they'd rather have me take it back than have to schlep it all the way back to Singapore. And then I realized I'll have to schlep it all the way back to Singapore. Um, oh, that's pretty good, Hater. That what for about 4,000 Swiss francs. By the way, too, I was checking the U.S. dollar versus the Swiss franc, and they're even Steven right now, which is that has a lot of good possibilities to it. Hey, brand headlights. I missed the green streamliner at 26K. They have been coming down in price. That's a good thing. Um, I think most of them are sold out though. I was looking at some of the ones they had the other day, and I think that was one of the ones that was sold out. Oh man, Dan Ludwig, you got that Parmigiani 39 millimeter white gold. Really, that's a nice one. You know, another one Rancher got was the Hebdo Damari. That thing is, oh, that has such a classic movement. One of my favorite watches ever is a pantograph, but they're like 40,000 bucks. And it's the one with those telescoping hands, but it has the same movement as the Hebdo Damari. That's a I don't know, I really like that. You know, there's some other ones too, some older Parmigianis called a Toric. I think it's Toric or Ionic. That's it. It's called the Ionic, and there's some of those floating around, and they're all out of platinum or gold, so they might be fun ones. Well, sure, right, hater. Yeah. Hater. Yeah, I tell you, hater, this your spell check does a lot of stuff to it. But while sure, I think if you really want to act like a snob, and we all do, and especially being we could be pretentious to boot, is the official name is Voiture Manufacturer Flourier, or what is it? VMF. Where the cool kids call it. That's a VMF. Glasuti Original still has some good deals on, pre-owned. Yeah, uh, Glasuti Original is another one of those ones a lot of people overlook, like, they don't even think about it. "Hey, Atelier, greetings from Aruba, supporting our watch streamers." Okay, good to see you. What about Lane? You know, I saw some of his stuff, and it's really good. Um, I think his dials especially doesn't Lane do a bunch of stuff that, Lane has a bunch of things with some really outstanding, engraving and guilloche and things like that, but I don't know about the movement. By the way, too, I got a thing the other day from this, French company, a French watch company, and it was really a good price. I forgot what it was, but it's pretty good. And, they had all of these different dials, but they were all the same. It was simply different colors. But they didn't have very much about the movement except to tell me that it is an in-house movement. And so I wrote the guy back. I said, you know, if you I'd like to see some pictures of it. So they sent me some pictures of the movement, and it's really nice, and it's very inexpensive. I think on Monday I'll have a little video on that one, a little vest pocket video. But I was it's a French company. I can't pronounce it, but I'll talk more about that. So that and it's a really good, like I said, great price. Anthony von Kretzmann can't believe the Streamliner green dial is over 30K USD now. Oh, you can't believe. All right. Um, I just realized we're out of time, guys. Sorry about that. The my alarm clock didn't go off. Anyway, thank you all for coming today. And this afternoon, we're going to talk about some other things that are coming up. And what I'd like to do is I want to talk about discovering watches that most of us haven't thought about, and that are nice, super nice watches. Uh, Take care. Hey, Ralph.